Hey, good morning, everyone. It is Wednesday, the 31st of March, 5:17 in the morning. Today on my bench, I got a box, and what's inside the box is probably going to be something new for a lot of you guys who've never seen this before. I've never seen one, so um, I ran across this on one of the Facebook groups. A guy had posted about it, and it sparked my interest because I'd never seen this radio before. And then if you are a member of my Facebook group or my Facebook page, you probably have seen me post it. But this is the video, and this is something I purchased. This is not something that was given to me or anything. So, and I had to pay full retail price for it because unfortunately there's nobody that I get my radios through my supply chain that would sell me this radio. So, without further ado, let's get it out and check it out. Okay, there we have it. So what does it look like? Well, it looks like what is that? It's made by Ranger 93, I think. I'm not sure exactly what the model number is. You guys, I mean, I know it. I've seen it before on YouTube, a lot of different videos. They call it the Elite 93 VHP, so I'm not sure. But this is the 40 channel version, Texas Ranger. And honestly, I mean, for someone that's just interested in a CB, for the price of this thing, I really think that you probably can't beat it. As far as its performance, we'll find that out shortly here. But from what I've seen on it, it has the nice white meter light, which, I know a lot of these new radios have the blue, but they went back to the white. It's got a white LED for the channel indicator, and I believe it's got a white RX light, and then when you TX, I assume it goes red. But otherwise, it kind of looks like a Galaxy DX 949, except for the clarifiers down here instead of up here. So, kind of reminds me of my old school radios when I got into CB back in the early 90s. Everything was more basic. You didn't have all these fancy colors, and guess what, guys? CB still was fun, even without all the blue and green and all this color stuff. So CB was still really fun back then. So I think this radio might be just kind of what the back of it, what it's got going on. I think this could be a good seller for them, but honestly, they don't market it. I've never seen anything about it on YouTube or anything online. So I'm not sure why they don't market this radio, because there's still a lot of people out there that want to buy just a regular 40 channel AM single sideband CB that don't want all these modifications done and don't care about channels above 40 and below channel 1. They just want a good working CB, and it gives them the ability to go to like 38 lower sideband and do some skip talking when the skip comes in. So I think this radio would fit the bill. And right now, with the unavailability of a lot of these CB radios, like for instance the Galaxy DX 949, 959, which basically were kind of the ones that were out there to kind of fit this bill of a radio, they're really not available. And you have your President McKinley, which is, it's a great radio, but for someone that likes more of a basic radio, this radio probably fits the bill better than the President McKinley's more the newer version of radio with the menus and the compactness, and it has not an analog meter like this radio. So there's just a radio out there for basically everybody these days. And if you're kind of like me and you prefer the old style look of a radio, I think this radio would do you just fine. But the box is kind of, it's made in Vietnam, just like the Galaxies. So I'm assuming this is probably going to be the same build quality as a Galaxy. It'll probably, well, I don't know, but I'm just going to assume that the sideband's not going to be right out of the box on it. And what I mean by not right is, when I hook up my dual tone to it and we look at the waveform, it's probably going to be all rectangular or distorted. So kind of expect that going in. I would assume the AM modulation is going to be pretty good out of the box. And frequency wise, I'm assuming this radio will have to be warmed up for a while to stabilize. But I would assume that it's going to have a typical drift like any CB radio will, or 10 meter radio for that matter. They all have drift, so you can't really say that they don't, because they all do, and they're just not built to be a stable side. None of these radios are built to be stable. And the problem is, guys knock the radios and say, oh, don't buy a Galaxy, they're junk, they're not good on sideband. Well, they are good on sideband, it's just that they have a tendency to drift. And I'm assuming these Rangers do, all these radios do. And a lot of times what happens is you're talking to these guys on sideband, and they're running radios like this on sideband. Well, for a guy sitting here on $1,000 radio to tell your radio doesn't sound good because you're on a couple $100 CB or 10 meter radio, I mean, it's your frequency keeps changing. I have to keep dialing you in, like I have to keep, well, a lot of guys, they use this RIT. I have to keep moving my RIT to you keep moving. Well, again, a couple $100, $1,000. When it comes to radios, I mean, guys, you get what you pay for, kind of thing. I mean, you can't, these guys that talk on these radios and want to sit there and criticize people talking on radios like this, I mean, you have to take that with a grain of salt, and kind of one ear and out the other. I mean, these radios were not designed to be rock solid on frequency, and in most cases that's why guys do the clarifier modifications for it, because that way when the radio starts to drift a little bit, you just turn the clarifier to compensate it. And like with most of your 10 meter radios, that's why they come with the open clarifier out of the box from the factory. And just for example, hang on one second, this radio right here, open clarifier from the factory, right in the menu. When they first developed this radio, it didn't have it. I feel like the company got a lot of complaints because, again, this radio will drift, and guys were getting upset about it. So what did they do? They redesigned it. They added the option to unlock the clarifier to do receive and transmit together. You can do that on this radio because this is a 10 meter radio. It's FCC approved. You can't do that on this radio from the factory because CB radios are not FCC approved to have an open clarifier. So that's kind of my 2 cents on sideband. There's just a lot of controversy out there about these radios are junk and my radio is better. And pretty much, guys, if you have an open clarifier on this thing and you're super worried about drift, it's not going to be a big deal. If it's done right, it's going to work. You don't need an open clarifier. It's still going to work good. You can align this thing, get it right to, you can align it. If I were, which I don't know any of the adjustments on this, there's no documentation, anything online. So when I open it up, we'll look at the board. Maybe we can scratch our heads and figure out what kind of board they're using. I'm assuming it's probably a board that's in a Galaxy, but I really don't know. So I'd be kind of curious when we pop it open to see. But anyways, you can't, like I say, you can't compare a radio like this to a radio like this as far as sideband stability. You can still talk on this all the time. You don't need an open clarifier to talk on it on sideband. It's just the guy might have to, oh, you're 30 or 50 hertz low on frequencies. Well, you can still clarify me in and talk to me. I mean, it's, guys want to, like, if you guys don't have a ham license, if you do, you already understand what I'm saying. But if you ever decide to get one, when you're on a ham frequency, let's go here. You can talk wherever you want as long as your license allows you to talk there. So you might dial to this and start, throwing your call out there, calling for contacts. Somebody will find you and talk to you. Well, let me shut that off. So, people, they get it stuck in their head, well, you're off frequency. In my opinion, frequency is relevant. As long as you can clarify them and you can perfectly understand them, you can talk to someone. But and that's just my take on it. I'm getting a little off topic with it. The whole topic of the video was this radio, so let's get it open. We'll get started on it. Well, before I open it, I just thought of that radio. I think it's called the Ranger 39 VHP Elite is what they came out with. The box is pretty similar to this. I'm assuming this radio will look the same. It's going to have that black glossy bezel and all that. So let's get it out. Enough with me yakking. Alright, looks familiar, guys. It looks just like a Galaxy. Again, they're all made by the same manufacturer, Ranger. They're all boxed the same, everything's the same. Honestly, this looks like the identical size to the DX979F. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if it has that exact board in it, minus the frequency counter. And I'm not sure, maybe it has a freak counter on the back, but I don't think it does. Well, as a matter of fact, it does, so... looks like it could be like your Galaxy DX979 before they came out with the F, maybe, because I believe that had a freak counter on the back jack. But there it is. There's the back. There's the front. It's a nice looking radio for sure. Well, I'm gonna get it out. Let's get it hooked up. Kind of surprised to see that, guys, but service at Galaxy. So I guess Galaxy is doing the warranty service on this radio. So interesting. Texas Ranger, I mean they're all owned by Ranger anyways. Ranger Communications out of Malaysia, I believe, is the parent company of all these radios, but apparently they want Galaxy to do their warranty work in the US, because if you go to that website, that's the US website. So interesting. But there it is. It looks great. Let's get it on and get it hooked up. Okay guys, there it is. Let's turn it on. Don't want the talk back on. It's got a tone control. It's kind of like a high cut filter, I guess, if you have it all the way up. So pretty functional. It works pretty good. Clarifier seems to work. It's got a real channel changer. I really like that. Got a dimmer. Even on low, guys, I mean, you can still see this meter even without the light. That's the beauty of it. This meter it's just an awesome looking meter with the white background. You don't even need a light, really. You know, like you can turn it on and it does light it up, but I mean, even on low you can still see that channel display. So you got your normal channel 19. That's pretty nice. Notice they don't have a 9. I think the CB community's kind of realized that channel 9 isn't really used anymore for anything. So noise blanker, you got SWR. Let's check that out really quick and just see. So yeah, I think it's a nice looking radio. Hang on a second, I'm gonna plug the mic in. Okay, we got a mic keyed up too. I think it comes with a SRA 198. I am not taking it out or anything. I've never really been a fan of that microphone. I know a lot of guys like them, but personally I'm not really that big a fan. I prefer like this mic over it. We'll see what it sounds like in a minute, but there it is on the SWR, so it's working. We're on a dummy load. Here's the radio keyed up. This is a RF powers all the way up. We're on AM. So we're like just under 3.5 watts, which is normal. Radio just turned on. That's our frequency on AM. It's pretty close to spot on. Let's look at where are we at here? So I'm looking at I think I'm looking at 80 channels. Yeah, 800 kilohertz. So 40 channels each way, basically. Hello, check 1 2. Hello, check 1 2. Hello, 1 2. I'm talking, and it's really clean, like it should be for a stock radio, and it probably will remain clean even after, if I can figure out a way to adjust the modulation if it needs it. It's still going to be clean. There's no amplifier section or anything on a radio like this, so it's going to run clear as a bell. Let's put a peak slug in it, or peak bigger slug, and we'll turn the peak on and just see what it's doing real quick. Put my 25 in there, I guess. We'll check that out. 25, turn on the peak. Hello, test 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Hello, test 1, 2. So it's doing, I don't know, almost 15 watts. Hello, test 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So honestly, I think it's probably close to 100% out of the box, in the 90% range, which, can you improve it? Yeah, you probably can, but do you really need to? Not really. I mean, we'll try to listen to it without squealing. Hello, check 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's clear as a bell. Sounds just like a Galaxy on AM, surprisingly. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's try to back the mic up a little bit and get this. I need to get a different speaker down here, something where I can get it a little bit of ways away and still try to pick up the voice coming through the radio. But hello, check 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Check, check, check. Hello, 1, 2. Okay, let's put the tone generator on it now and see. But so far I'm liking it. There's our SRF meter. Not really sure what they're trying to calibrate it as, but it's up in the red. I guess for a 4-watt CB, if it's up in the red, it's kind of telling you that you're at close to 4 watts. I guess that's what they're going for with that. There's no really indication there, but that's where we're at with that. We got mic gain all the way up, RF power, we got some talk back. Let's just see what it does with the tone on. Yep, talk back's variable, and that's working. So, okay. So the talk back works fine. Everything else is set right. So let's turn the tone on. Let's turn this off so we don't have to listen to the tone. So here you go, guys. Here's the carrier. I'll make it bigger. I know everybody likes to see it bigger. Here's the spectrum analyzer. It's all on. Same stuff. The carrier. We're in a 25 watt slug right now. It's in peak. There's the tone going in. We'll watch this oscilloscope. I'll turn on the tone. And there we go. I mean, really, it's perfect. Somebody probably would go in and crank it to the max just because they think it's going to improve anything, but I would talk on this thing all day just like this. Yeah, you can make these, turn the AMC control up and make these get a little closer, and yeah, you might gain a little bit more modulation, but is it going to help you power output wise? No, you're not going to get a ×4 increase by doing that. So in all reality, it's not even really worth doing. I mean, I guess if somebody wants to do it, they're gonna do it. But let's stop it. Let's enlarge it. Oh, I need to run it. There. So yeah, I mean, you can make these come closer, which will increase the modulation percentage, but you're not going to increase the only thing that'll happen here is eventually you get these too close, it's going to start to flat because you're getting too much, you're pinching it off. So you're not going to excuse me, you're not going to make this enlarge really any by doing that. So is it worth doing? I mean, yeah, sure, if you want to, but are you going to gain anything in the real world? Probably not. So that's just my take on it. I tend to like to leave the AM kind of where it's at. You sound crystal clear. I mean, you're real clean. I think the problem is, guys, everybody wants the most watts they can get, and in reality, I mean, watts are what they are. Think about it like this, guys. Like right now in Michigan where I'm at, there's been no skip. So if you have a radio and you're cranked to the max, or even if you have a radio that's clean like this, and say you have, I don't know, 3,000 watt amplifier and you run it 24/7. Well, right now all you're doing is talking locally. So you're running 3,000 watts, you're not doing anything. They're still going to hear you on a radio like this locally. And then even when the skip comes, most of the time the skip is depending on your location, the way that radio waves are going. You may hear stuff, they don't hear you. It's all just a big, I call it like a mixing bowl. You just throw your signal up in the air. Mother Nature basically mixes it around, kind of like when you're baking a cake and you're mixing the batter, mixing it all up and throwing it out somewhere else. And you may get heard, you may not. So it's not always about power, guys. That's what I'm trying to say. I mean, I guess if you run power, more power to you, but I mean, radio like this, it's doing good right out of the box. So I think it's performing just like a Galaxy would out of the box. So pretty similar. All right, let's check out sideband now. Okay, I got the radio in sideband. We're in lower. We have our HF radio is transmitting on 3150. Here's our clarifier. So it's a little off 12 o'clock. It's not crazy though. I would say that's pretty decent for out of the box. Let's check out upper. We got this set, basically there's no power even coming out of the radio. There's a dummy load attached to it, but when you're this close you don't even need power output to register on another radio. This one will probably be high. Yep. I mean, it's so close though. Who would really care? What I find with Galaxy, Ranger made Galaxy radios, they're usually aligned better out of the box on upper sideband than lower, so yeah, that's pretty good. Grab my mic here. Hello, check 1 2 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. Check 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 1 2. Let's turn the tone all the way up. See. Hello, check check 1 2 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. Check check. Okay, let's check the transmit on this one now. Alright guys, so I'm looking at it and it's performing just like the Galaxy DX979F was performing out of the box. I've sold quite a few of those and this is basically performing the same way with my initial test. Now, we haven't popped the covers or anything to even look at the board, but this is exactly the same. Because I don't know if you guys watched any of my other videos. I haven't made a lot of videos for my customers. I just usually send them a link to them and call it good. I don't want to bore you guys with the same old and making all these radio videos of me when I sell a radio to someone showing what it does, because a lot of times it ends up being the same thing. That's why I was kind of excited to make this video, because it's a new radio. But anyways, here's the peak output of it, 25 watt slug and peak. So we're doing roughly 7-8 watts, which that's what the Galaxies do out of the box. And they're not real impressive by any means, but that's what they do. So if this is the same radio as a 979F, if I go through it, I'll be able to make it do about 15 watts of clean output power, and that's about all they do. But assuming based off what I'm seeing, it's performing the exact same way as a 979F, basically to the T. Even the sideband receive frequencies are the same. So let's turn this up and try to listen to it. Again, we're in upper side, and 1 2 1 2 1 2 3 4 5 6. Check check check. Yeah, so like I say, it's a little off frequency, but is it bad? 1 2 1 2 1 2. It's hard to do this with I don't know, it's falling in about 50 hertz high, so it's not terrible, guys. That's not terrible out of the box. I mean, you can align it and then it's still going to drift some, but I mean, for the factory alignment, 50 hertz is basically nothing. I think the spec, I'd have to open the book, but honestly I think the spec on these radios, and that's all these radios like this, the Galaxies, the Rangers that have sideband probably like this, they're all, I think it's plus or minus 200 hertz either way, and that's acceptable for this radio. That's what they spec it at. So, you know, you could be plus or minus 200 hertz, and if you, like, I'm assuming if you got this radio and you said, well, I'm off frequency, guys are telling me I'm off frequency, and you got a hold of Galaxy for this one, they'd probably say, well, send it in, and then they'd probably test it out and tell you, well, it's within the manufacturer's specs. I mean, there's nothing we can do. They may just try to align it for you better, but if it falls within their spec, they're not really going to do much. So 1 2 1 2, but I mean, it sounds good out of the box. It's not a matter of it not sounding good, but it's just it has the same issue as like the 979F. It doesn't we'll put the dual tone on it, and I guarantee it's going to be distorted looking and stuff, but that's upper. Let's check lower, and then I'll put the tones into it. Turn that off for now. Lower. Check 1 2. We're probably low on frequency now, probably 100 some hertz. 100. I'm gonna guess 100 and 150. So let's see. Actually more. About 175. That's on the RIT. Now on the actual frequency readout, we're only about 50 hertz low. So let's actually just dial it with that. Maybe I bumped that, I'm not sure. Let's try that over, guys. I'm looking at the radio and not looking at this. I was looking more up here, so let's just do it. Let's just do it this way. So it wasn't as bad as what I thought. It's 120 hertz high. It's still high, but it's not, you know, like, again, that's factory spec, so it's falling in where it should. Alright, let's put the tone into it now. I'll be right back. Okay, I got a dual tone going into it now. We can see on our S meter or RF meter it's pegged, so here's the tones, just the 2 tones that I use for sideband testing. And there's the waveform. It's, again, there's no roundness whatsoever. It's basically just like distortion. It's almost rectangular, but it looks bad, and they're all like this, so I'm not sure what's going on with that. It looks good here, which is good, but, and there's our power output with, again, with the 25 watt slug. So and it's kind of what this is, kind of like what we see on the spectrum analyzer on this radio. It's the same. You can see as the lower sideband, so all of our power is shifted lower. Should be 600. There we go, center that. 600 kilohertz that way. And we can see it's all in that span. So, alright, I'm going to pop the cover now. I'm curious to see if it's a 979 board. It probably is, but we'll find out. So I'll pop the cover. We'll take a look. Alright, let's pop the cover. I'll do it with you guys so we can all take a look at it. Yeah, it's basically a Galaxy DX979F board, just like I thought. It pretty much looks identical. It's stamped with this model of radio, but I would assume everything is the same, because from what I see, everything does look the same. I don't know if we can see what it's using. I have to get my magnifying glass out, but I'm assuming it's probably IRF 520 or whatever that FQP13N10 thing is. MOSFETs. It's a MOSFET radio for sure. But Yeah, there's some few differences because there's no frequency counter on this one, but there's your tuning coils for AM, upper and lower sideband. That is your frequency adjustment down there, right where my finger is pointing at that white variable resistor. This has the Ranger board stamped on it, so I'm assuming if I find a radio with this board, I'm sure I could find the adjustments, but to me it looks like everything's the same. I believe those are your Schottky diodes for your receive. To me everything looks the same, so with that in mind, I'm going to fix the sideband really quick and I'll be right back. Okay, yeah, it's the sideband, same issue as the 979F, same exact everything. This one they had the driver and final voltage on the gate voltage was up too high, so I turned that down to better level. It was up almost a half a volt too much in my opinion, so you're not gaining anything by cranking the voltage up, it just weakens them. So let's test it out on sideband now. Of course I haven't adjusted anything other than one thing, which usually doesn't correct it. You have to do the ALC adjustment. Now you have to align the ALC to make it look good on the scope. So let's see where we're at here. We're in upper, but that's our talkback. We want to turn our mic gain up. We want to turn on both tones. Okay, just with the one adjustment that I did, which makes it do actually power output, we can see now that our power 25 watt slug, we're in peak. Now we're doing upwards 16-17 watts, so, and we're looking good there still. But it's kind of rectangular, which isn't ideal. So basically what we do is just adjust the ALC until we get a nice hang on just a second guys. Okay, here we go. So ALC, I just want to make sure that it was indeed the exact board, and it is. So that's, you know, you start putting this thing into distortion, that's what you get. You know, there's your distortion, and you can hear the quality of the tone. Right there, that's about where it should be. You can see the power output on the meter. There's our distortion. Yeah, the power goes up. Right about there is good. Yeah, we lost power, but in reality, that's what we should be doing. That's what the factory says. They set it to about 12 watts with a tone. Well, they say with a 1K tone, but I don't believe in that because you can't see a modulation envelope on SSB with a 1K tone. So there we go. Nice and rounded now. And honestly, you could probably adjust it down some more and make it a little more rounded. That's probably about right where it should be though. So alright, let's put a mic on it now and we'll see what it's doing. Okay, we got our mic on here and still 25 watt slug. We're in peak. So here is our normal talking. That's what we like to do, just normal talking into the microphone. Hello radio, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. Check 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 check. 1 2 3 4. Check check check. 1 2. Again, it's like around 14 to 15 watts, which is normal for a single MOSFET radio. It's not meant to do big power. So I'm going to try to look at that really quick and I'll let you guys know. I believe it's the 13N10 or whatever it is, so it really makes no difference to, excuse me, to me what it is. It's just a MOSFET transistor. Okay, well the funny thing is they have the part number, like it almost looks like they put fingernail polish over it off the part number, so you can't even tell what it is. So I'm not sure why that is. Maybe it's their RT1. I really don't know what it is, but they covered it up. So I don't know what the big secret is as far as that goes. I mean, it's not a high power radio or anything. It's just a MOSFET. So, but that's what it is. They got it covered up. So I guess they don't want you to know. I'm sure if, like, say you ever had to replace it, you could put an IRF 520, FQP 13N10, whatever you wanted. Probably wouldn't make much of a difference, but they're all the same in my opinion too. The RT1, the Palomar, ERF 20, 30 pluses, whatever, they don't do any more power output. If the radio is aligned properly, they do what they should do. I mean, if you crank them, yeah, maybe the other models might handle more abuse than FQP 13N10 or an IRF 520, but I mean, if you want to run your radio and abuse the living you know what out of it, run it till the gods, till it's frying hot. And I mean, I guess that's up to you, but if you want to pay the money for someone to put an upgraded transistor in your radio to allow you to run it like that, then I guess go ahead and do it. But you're not running the radio properly that way, so really the money's just wasted. You're not gaining anything by doing that. So, but yeah, I'm pretty surprised. I had a feeling it was similar to I didn't know if this would be like a 949 board, but it turns out it's the 979 board without the frequency counter. But you got a jack on the back, so you could get that Galaxy freak counter, whatever freak counters are available now that allow you to plug into that jack. It's a pretty standard, all these Galaxies and pretty much any of these Ranger manufactured boards that have that freak counter jack on the back will work with whatever freak counter you have that would work on a radio you might already have, would work on this one. So yeah, that's where we're at with it so far. I mean, the board looks a little different. It's got more of like a greenish, like it almost looks like a camouflage tint to it. So I'm not sure. I don't have a well, I have one here. I was keeping that one, a 979F, probably keep for me. I've sold all the rest of them, so I don't have any more to sell. And this one won't be for sale. This is something I'll just keep. But yeah, the Ranger board is stamped on there. But as far as I can see, I mean, everything looks about the same. So, minus the freak counter isn't in the front of the radio, the jack is on the back. So yeah, I'm going to go through and probably quick do a frequency alignment on it, and then I'm going to take it upstairs and hook it up and use it. So I'll be back with that really quick. I guess I'll do the frequency alignment on it, and then I'll be done with it. So yeah, guys, this is the 797 by Ranger, but it's manufactured in Vietnam, and the warranty, I guess, is through Galaxy. So at least you get a warranty on it. I think that they should market this radio a little more, because I feel like it'd be a really good seller for them. It's a nice looking radio, and it's pretty basic, which a lot of guys like. You get talkback, you get RF power control, you got basically a high cut filter here, which is just a potentiometer, which you may actually like that better, because the tone is more selectable to what you want. Instead of just high cut on, high cut off, you can actually select the amount of, if you want more highs, you can actually dial the highs up some. So I think that's a plus right there. And yeah, you could probably do some kind of channel mod to it. I know one of the guys posted on my Facebook page that, well, no, there's another FCC approved radio and no channel mod. There probably is a channel mod for it. I don't know. The chip is right down there. Is it worth doing? I mean, I guess if you really want to, you could do it. Probably put some switches in the back, whatever it takes. I'm sure the 979 modification would work on it. I wouldn't do it to any radio. I don't see where it's necessary. The money you're going to spend on that, just buy the 10 meter I think it's the Galaxy 90 or 86 it's called, which I believe is pretty similar to this radio. The board, it's a 10-meter radio, but I like running FCC 40 channel CBs. I think they're nice little radios to run. It's kind of brings me back to my old days of getting into the CB, where you only got channel 1 through 40, but where I live there's 2 local channels and the rest of the channels are wide open, so you can do whatever you want really. So let me do the frequency alignment. I'll be right back. Okay guys, we're in AM. I just did a quick frequency alignment on it. There's AM. Go to lower sideband. One two one two 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9. There's lower sideband right there. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14. Check check check. So it's right on. I didn't do anything with upper because I don't use upper, so I don't really care about upper. When I sell a radio, I do upper for the customer, but for me, I don't ever use upper on a CB. But here's upper. I mean, upper is pretty much good to go now right out of the box, so it's sounding good too. So I mean, the lower is the main one because everybody's on 38 lower. I mean, this is perfectly fine now on upper as well, and I didn't touch a thing, so it's working good. And that's about it, guys. Like you say, you notice I didn't even adjust the AM modulation because I feel like it's doing good right out of the box. And I mean, this is my personal radio now, so I'm gonna run it clean. Let me put the cover on. I'll be right back. Okay guys, I'm back. I got it flipped around. Again, we got it lower sideband. We got it aligned. 1 2 3 4 5 6. We're on channel 31. The clarifier is not unlocked. And here is our HF radio. We don't have the receive incremental tuning on whatsoever. If I turn that on, it's way out of adjustment. If I turn it off, it's right there. I mean, I could adjust that RIT wherever I want, but I mean, I got this thing aligned right to this radio, so it's good to go. Hello, check check. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. And there's our output power. Clean output power right there. I'm losing my voice because it's still early. I think I started this video at like 5 something, it's 6 something, so I've been going, between pausing the video, I've been going about an hour on it. I know the video's at like 42 minutes, so check 1 2, check 1 2. Hello radio. So I think it's a cool radio. I like it. I like the look of it. It's kind of the old school look, and it's a good board. The 979F is a good board. It's a good radio. So this just gives you another alternative. Do I sell these radios? No, I don't, because I can't get them. There's nobody that I buy radios from that I can get a cost on them to resell them. So you guys can find where I bought it. It's major online retailer, which I don't like buying from, but I wanted to try it out. So there you have it. That's where I got it from. So if I could sell these, I would. I'd buy a case of them like today if I could get them, and I'm sure they would sell really good, because I mean, for what this radio has is what most people want. Basic, good tactical controls, all the controls right here. Dials, people like dials and switches, they don't like menus, and it looks really good. You turn the dimmer up. Actually, I'm gonna turn the lights off, guys, really quick, and then I'm gonna wrap this radio up. So I'm gonna turn the lights off down here in my workbench area, and we'll just look at it in the dark. So hang on a second. I got my overhead lights on my workbench light, so I'm gonna try to shut that off now. I'm in a basement, so it's gonna be pitch dark. Oh. So the high probably is washing out on the camera. Where were we at here? There's the low. Workbench looks kind of cool in the dark. Looks a lot better in person than through the camera. There's medium. These cameras have a hard time focusing in on LED lights. Let me turn this light back on. There we go. Yeah, it's a fancy looking radio. Looks good. Okay guys, I had to pause it for a minute. I realized one thing I forgot to show was the AM power with the RF power control. So I'm going to show that, and then I'm going to wrap this video up. So I didn't adjust it any either. So when I adjusted the bias, I think it lowered it some, because I remember in the beginning of the video it was like 3.5 watts. So anyhow, when I properly set the bias, the power went down a little bit. So I'm going to readjust that really quick, and then we'll just take a look, and then I'll be done. So right now it's at 2.5 watts all the way up. All the way down it's like under 0.5 watt. So let me correct that up, put it at 4 watts, and then we'll take a look at the output then. Okay, we got it set to 4 watt AM carrier. 5 watt slug, 4 watts. Let's turn it down and see where it goes to. About 1 watt. Honestly, I usually turn that down to about 0.5 watt, so let's do that really quick while we're there, just because. I would never run my radio that low, but some people want to run other things with their radios, so this gives you the ability to, you know, if your external device takes a lower input power, that would give you that option right there. So there's all the way down, there's all the way up, 4 watts, all the way down. See on the spectrum analyzer, it just increases when you increase power. No big deal. Okay, that's our frequency. It's still right on frequency. That's what we're putting in. There is the reference carrier on the oscilloscope. Let's turn the tone on. And there we go. So yeah, that's looking better. I haven't adjusted the AMC at all. So it's pretty close. Oop. 95% or so. I mean, that's fine for me. It's perfect. So no need to adjust anything. But I just wanted to show that. Let's put the peak 25 watt back in there. That's what it's doing. Whoop. That's what it's doing with the tone. So let's zoom this in some. You can see now we're looking at 1 channel away each direction. 325, 305. Let's shut the tone off for a second. There's our carrier. And there's with it modulated. So it's still really clean. There's no bleed over going into the adjacent frequencies or anything like that. So there you have it, guys. That is the Texas Ranger 797, which is basically a Galaxy DX97F board with a different layout. I like it. And I didn't test the antenna warning light, so let's test that really quick. It's working. You can see it light up. Simple enough. So there you have it. I hope you guys found this enjoyable. I made it a little longer than I wanted to. Usually that happens. A lot of times this happens with the customer videos, and that's why I don't post them, because they can get kind of boring. So I don't expect people have 50 minutes in their day to sit back and watch videos. At least I don't, but I guess I have enough time in the morning before the family gets up on my day off from work to make them. So I enjoy making them, and I hope you guys enjoy watching them. So appreciate all the YouTube subscribers, all the subscribers to the Facebook page and to the group, and hopefully we'll have more radios to come. So take care. 7.3. This is the new Texas Ranger 797 radio, and I currently do not sell it, so if I can get a hold of some, I'll definitely buy a case of these, because I think they'll sell. I think they got a good product here. Take care. 7.3.